friends, it's Tracey from Tea Time with Tracey, and Violet is here too. Violet, come over here. Here she is. She's my sidekick, my familiar, my furry best friend, who's gonna get a buzz cut on Monday. Yes. Anyways, we're outside because, all right. It's another hot day today. And I'm sitting in my front yard. Okay, watch out, boob. And I just finished a book. This was in that book haul video yesterday, only I forgot it in the house. I just put a picture up. This has 2 books in it. I finished it just a little while ago, so I read both books in it. Yeah, so I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Again, it's too hot to drink hot tea outside, but I brought out a beautiful, beautiful lady. She wanted to come meet you. Look at her. Come on, look at her. Just look at her. Now, here, there's gold up at the top, and you can see on the inside. So when I'm taking a sip like this, I see the pretty flowers. And it's not like a circle. There's like scalloped or whatever you call it. And I really like down here, I don't know what design you would call that, but it's not just smooth. It's like fancy. And then she has double rings of gold there. What? And then on her hip, like this, she has gold right on her elbow. Violet. Are you a table dancer? Shake your thing. Yeah, she's got gold right on her elbow. But if you look up here at the top, it almost looks like a feather or a tail of some sort. Yeah. Yes. And then there's her pedestal. Beautiful. Beautiful. I love that color blue. It kind of fades as it goes in. Nice. Royal Albert Bone China, England Reflection Series. So, yeah. I brought my basket out again, just it's easier to carry. It's the old one from my childhood. Holy, but still works. So, and I'm having cold water. So, let's do the do. It's I think this was an old juice jar I saved. I like drinking out of jars. Reduce, reuse, recycle, right? She's still up there. So grab a cup of tea or coffee or water or whatever tickles your fancy, and let's dish a little bit. Yeah, it's like cloudy today. Well, it's like one giant cloud. It's overcast, but it's warm. There's a little breeze, but it's warm. Yeah, perfect, perfect. So Scarred Souls. This is by Tillie. If you watch my first video on my channel, I read a book of hers, the first book I've ever read of hers, called Sick Fucks. F-U-X. I'm not saying the big F word. Sounds like it, but I'm not. And I really like that book, so I got this book. And there's 2 books in it, Raise and Reap. Now, you can buy these books separately, but it was cheaper to buy them both together. So I bought them both together, so it was just a big book to read. But I read this back to back. Took me like 2 days. Yeah. I pretty much devoured it. So I'll go over Raise and then I'll go over Reap. They both kind of tie in together. Like the same characters are in both stories. It's focused specifically on certain people. So Raise. Now let me think, because I don't want to get it all jumbled together. This book has to do with the Russian mob in New York. And in the beginning, that started out as the main characters as being children. They're young. They're young. So 3 little teenage boys, young teenagers. One of them gets killed by another one. But then another person is blamed for it and is sent away. Now, the boy that gets sent away, his family is told that he's killed. They don't know that he's still alive. But he's sent to a gulag type, they call it the gulag, like those Russian prisons over in Russia, but it's way up in Alaska. He's gone for like 12 years, I think. And I'm telling you, the stuff that Ray goes through, terrible, terrible, absolutely terrifying what he had to go through. It was pretty much a death fighting ring, and they were forced to fight to the death. And he did this for years. So the innocent boy in the beginning, he's a changed person for sure. He's a grown man. He's rough, he's tough, he's dark, he's jacked up, and he's beaten so much he doesn't really remember his childhood. He was there and drugged and abused and forced. He doesn't remember his childhood. He doesn't remember the people in his life, his parents, nothing. Something happens and he gets away. I don't want to give too many spoilers or anything like that. And the only thing he did remember was a certain name, a certain place, and then revenge and kill. That's what he had written on his wall. So he knew he had to go to this place, one certain name, revenge and kill. And he couldn't remember anybody else. So after a long time, he gets to where he's going. He doesn't know who this person is, but he knows he has something to do with why he is the person he is now. Fast forward, he's homeless. He doesn't have anybody. He doesn't know anybody. And the heroine in this story, she was in that group of teenagers in the beginning. She wasn't one of the boys, obviously, but she was in love with this young man that got sent away. But she too was told he was killed, so, doesn't even know he exists. And their paths eventually cross, but she doesn't know who he is, and he, of course, doesn't remember her. She sees glimmers of her former love in this beaten down man, homeless man. And she tries to help this homeless man, but she doesn't know it was her one true love from when they were young. I have to tell you, the bad guy in this, who this young woman is engaged to, not because she wants to be. These are mob families, and this is a marriage out of, I don't want to say convenience, out of business. Like, she is engaged to the heir of the bravada, is that how you say that? Of the New York Russian mob. She has no choice but to marry this current heir to the bravada mob. But this guy, his name's Eric. I have never, ever, 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 I don't think, ever hated a character in a book as much as I hated this mofo. Holy cow. Now, Tillie does a fantastic job writing him, but an abusive son of a gun. He kind of reminded me, if you guys watched Game of Thrones, King Joffrey, that sick son of a gun, that's what this guy was, only a grown man. Terrible, terrible, terrible. And what, God, I can't think of her name. Kisa. What Kisa had to go through, oh my goodness, with this fiance. So when she was helping this homeless guy, she had to do it in secret. Like, she couldn't even leave the house without permission, and she wasn't even married to this guy yet. Terrible, terrible. But the story that's in this blew my mind. It's hard. There's a lot of trigger warnings for this, I think. I don't think they're listed in the beginning, but there's abuse, sexual abuse, verbal abuse, humiliation abuse, there's kidnapping, there's, yeah. I'm just seeing if there's, no, there isn't a trigger warning thing, but I'm just telling you. This is not your typical kind of love story, but again, it's a dark romance. You're not going to get fluffy stuff in these kinds of books. So a little later on in the story, he figures out who and this person is. Even though he had his name, he found out who this guy was. I'm talking the homeless guy. Rays found out who it was that he was trying to get revenge. And he gets himself inserted into his circle, which is kind of like what he did before, a death fighting circle. But this wasn't something he was made to do. He signed up for it, but Rays is a big son of a gun and the best of the best, which nobody knows who Rays is. Like, nobody knew. And he gets in that. And on the edge of my seat a lot of the times. There was a lot of twists and turns, and I really, really, really enjoyed it. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to give a whole lot away. I'm just saying it's a big book, but it was totally worth it, and I devoured it. Now, Rays, his real name, like before he was taken away, was Luca. And so he finds that out, he finds out more about himself, but it's not an easy journey. Now, let's go to Reap, the second story. I need another drink of water. You might hear cars and stuff drive by. Not that I live in a city, I don't. I live in a little village, but right now it's Saturday afternoon. I can hear a chainsaw up the street. But in Reap, now it had all the same characters, like Luca and Kisa and their families are all in this book. However, there's the main heroine in Reap is Talia. Now Talia was in the first book. She turns out to be Luca's sister, Rays' sister. And the hero in Reap, or who, well, he doesn't go by Reap. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Reaper, I guess, but he doesn't really go by that. Oh, just a minute. Yeah, so Talia is the heroine in Reap, who is Luca's sister. Starts off, she's having a rough go with everything that's going on in her life now. And when I was going over Rays' story, I talked pretty much about them, but there's a lot of stuff going on with mob stuff and rivals and things like that. So Reap just happens 6 weeks later, and she's dealing with a lot of stress with families, and she helps run a business, and she just needs to get away. So she gets away to a family Hampton home that she had to beg and plead to be able to go because she's the daughter of a big boss guy, a mob guy. So she has her guards and stuff. But Luca, from the first book, he's troubled because he had one friend in the gulag in the beginning and made a promise to him, and he can't settle until he fulfills his promise. This friend is the one that actually was able to help him get out of his cell when he escaped. And so in Reap, Luca was determined to fulfill this promise. He can't settle until that is, because he's still trying to adjust to normal life. because he's never had a normal life for years. And so he goes into this scenario, I'm trying to not give stuff away, and finds the brother of the person he made this promise to. Now, the brother and the friend Luca had back in the cell were taken when they were 8 years old. They had been in captivity for 20 years. They don't remember. They've been abused in every form. Terrible, heinous, dark stuff. Tillie does dark. I guess that's why I love her. I like dark, twisted things sometimes. Not that I would ever want this stuff in real life. No, never. But that's what books are, a place to escape sometimes. Terrible stuff. Now, Luca's friend and the hero from Reap, turns out his name is Zal. Z-A-A-L. Oh, just a minute. His name is Zal, Z-A-A-L. I don't know how you would say that, but that's how I pronounced it in my head. He's a Georgian, like European descendant. I don't know what that is. And I meant to look it up before I did this video. Not Georgia like the United States Georgia. The other sort. Anyways, he doesn't know. Luca rescues him, and he is of no sane mind at all. He is so hopped up on stuff. He's an animal. Like an absolute animal. Absolute animal. Now, the mob families Luca and Kisa come from didn't want Luca to take part in this at first, because turns out the person that they were going to go rescue was from a rival family that dated back a couple generations, and he's the sole survivor of this family. But Luca was so determined, because he made this promise to his one and only friend, that he was going to do it. And they did it. And they had to take this Zal somewheres, because he was a complete mess, like an absolute monster machine. They ended up taking him to that Hampton home that Talia was at. Turns out in the basement of that house there's like a cell, someplace that the father would use to hold people. So that's where Talia and this Zal cross paths. Now he's chained up. He can't move. He's totally out of his mind, whackers, crackers, but he's there for a significant amount of time. Eventually she gets to see him, and things develop. I don't want to say too much more about it, and I'm certainly leaving out so many details you don't even know. But it's bananas. Bananas. But it was so good, I took 2 days to read this book. And it's about 500 pages. And yeah. I recommend this for sure. I am going to absolutely get more Tillie Cole, because this is officially 3 books that I've read of Tillie Cole's. And I've liked every single one of them. But, yeah, I was looking, she has a bunch of different series. Oh, I believe one of you said, oh gosh, on one of my other videos, you had made a comment, and I'll mention that in my next video, because I want to thank all of you who comment, who watch and like, or just pop in. Thumbs up, thumbs down, doesn't matter to me. I love you all. I really, really do. I really, really do. But, yeah, any book comments or recommendations. It doesn't have to be dark stuff. I like fantasy stuff. I love paranormal stuff. I love horror, gory. I love contemporary stuff. I like Victorian, historical. I like it all. I really do. Just right now, this past month or so, I've been on a dark romance kick. And there ain't no shame in my game. No. Violet? What are you barking at? She's my guard dog. She's like my hellhound in disguise. Look at this. Ferocious beast. She's at her lookout post. But yeah, anyways, I just wanted to do this while it was fresh in my mind. I need to go up, and I have a pile of books that I've read recently. I need to refresh over them. No, I'm not going to reread them, but I just want to make sure I get my story straight, because I seem to be reading book after book after book after book. So when I talk about them with you guys, I don't get them all twisted and characters skewed from different stories, because I'm not that organized. So anyways, I'm going to end this now. I want to thank you for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful day full of love and positivity. And I'll see if I can get a chance to do a video tomorrow. I don't know, but we'll see. So yeah, with that, I guess I'll end it now. So still haven't come up with a proper ending, but yeah, have a good night or have a good morning, and I might see you tomorrow. Bye. Bloop.